You are joining me tonight for a very special stream where I am going to be interviewing Dr. David Shiffman, who is a highly respected, well known environmental conservationist. Does a whole lot of things. And in fact, I'm going to have David, or Dr. David Shiffman, kind of explain what he does and a little bit about all of the accomplishments that he's got under his belt. So please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here tonight and happy to answer anyone's questions about sharks. My name is Dr. David Schiffman. I am an interdisciplinary marine conservation biologist, and that means I study threatened species of sharks and how to protect them. I am based at a few different places, but mostly these days at Arizona State University's Washington, D.C. Center for Science Policy. And yeah, happy to be here tonight.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So you basically just had a shark phase that you never grew out of, huh?
Pretty much.
Okay, so what are the worst threats facing that sharks face? And I'm going to bring up the whole question of finning. Um,
Yeah.
but what are the worst threats facing sharks, and how does finning compare to those threats?
Yeah. So that's a great question, and it's a big question with a lot of parts. So let me back up first of all and say that there are lots of sharks that are threatened with extinction. I don't just mean that they're having a bad day. I mean we could very easily lose entire species in our lifetime, and that's really bad
That's
because
really
these animals
sad.
play. Yeah, well, it's super sad, but also as top predators, they play really important roles in structuring the food web. And when we're talking about the ocean, that's a food web that billions of humans depend on for food and for jobs. So we really want there to be a healthy ocean, and to be a healthy ocean, among many other things, we need sharks. The number one threat to sharks by far is unsustainable overfishing. That includes fishing with the goal of obtaining shark fins, but is not limited to that. And fishing with the goal of obtaining shark fins includes, but is not limited to, what you mentioned earlier, which is called shark finning. Shark finning occurs when fishermen catch a shark, cut the fins off the shark, often but not necessarily while it's still alive, and discard the rest of the carcass. This is done because the fins per pound are much more valuable than the meat and take up a lot less space. They're sold to make a traditional delicacy in Southeast Asia and in the Chinese, Vietnamese, and Japanese diaspora cultures around the world. Uh, there are also many, but there is this misperception among many well-intentioned environmentalists, particularly in the United States, that shark finning is the only threat to sharks or the biggest threat to sharks, and it is not. It is a subset of the bigger problem, which is humans are killing too many sharks accidentally and on purpose for meat and for fins through finning and not through finning. So that's a very long answer, I know, but it's a touchy subject for me because I see a lot of folks who are well-intentioned misuse these terms, and it results in a lot of wasted effort in conservation advocacy.
Yeah. And people always get very emotionally riled up with that, including myself about the shark finning thing because it's so ethically awful. Um, but shark finning has actually already been illegal and banned in the U.S. since like 2000. Um,
Since 1993.
oh, okay, so since
There was an up, there was
1993.
an up there was an update to the rule in 2000 that was highly publicized. But since
Gotcha.
the yeah since so when I lived in Florida, I got my PhD at the University of Miami, and while I was there, I saw maybe a dozen amateur-made petitions to ban shark finning in the state of Florida, and these would get 50, 75, 100,000 signatures. And we banned finning in the state of Florida before the people who made those petitions were born. So that cannot possibly accomplish any conservation good, and it's just wasting everybody's time.